Hey everyone, it's Justin. Thank you for watching and welcome to my house. That's Justin's house. In this video, I want to show you how to set up an integration with Jira using the Jira spoke. So this is not the Atlassian plugin integration with project portfolio management or Agile or anything like that. This is purely the Jira spoke, and I want to walk you through how to set this up. So first of all, you want to make sure you install the Jira spoke in your instance. By the way, this will work in a PDI. My other integration videos showing Jira don't necessarily work in a PDI. This should work in a personal developer instance. You can see here, even on the store, we have the text indicating that this is available on ServiceNow portal instances. I'm going to be doing this in Vancouver, so your mileage may vary if you're still in Utah, but I'm on a Vancouver PDI, and just make sure you install this spoke before you get started. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your Jira instance. I'm using the free version of Jira. I'm in dark mode because that was new and I wanted to use that. You need to go in there and you need to create an API token. So if you go up to your account here in the upper right and you go to manage account, that'll take you to this screen right here. You can see my lovely picture. If you go to the security tab, there should be a section for create and manage API tokens right there. If you click on that, it should show you a list of the tokens you've created. I have 2 that I've created. There should be a button at the top for create API token. All you got to do is click on that, create API token, give it a name, test token for YouTube, hit create, and you'll get this massive token. Now this thing can be pretty unwieldy, pretty big, so make sure you get all of that, copy it somewhere on Notepad or something, somewhere safe where you can save it. I'm going to go ahead and revoke that since I just put that on YouTube, but make sure that's done, and then you want to head back over to your PDI, and in your PDI I want you to head to connection and credentials, connection and credential aliases, right? So when you install the spoke, it's going to install a connection and credential alias for the Jira spoke that I want you to use. That should pull up this screen behind me. You can see here, just search for Jira. I'm just going to type in Jira under the name, and make sure the connection and credential alias you're looking at is sn_jira_spoke.jira. If you open that particular connection and credential, it should be easy sailing here. What you need to do is you need to create a connection and a credential at the same time, and you can do that using this related link. Now I've already done it for my instance because I was thoughtful and wanted to make sure ahead of time that this is working for you guys. But if you click on this create new connection and credential, it should pop up a window where you can put in the URL for your Jira instance, and here I just put in my instance name, and then the username, which is, well, you can see mine right there. I'll blur out some of that, the username, and then that API key that you just created over in Jira. Copy and paste that in, and that'll create the connection and credential, and everything should work. Now this is a really unique integration using Integration Hub and Flow Designer with the spoke, in that it's going to use this connection and credential right away when you start trying to use the spoke. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So I want you to head into Flow Designer. That's where I am now, and I'm going to show you something you may not have noticed on the Jira spoke. Let's come over here and let's see what we can do with Jira. So if I go in here and create an action, I can go down to the Jira section, click on that, and it'll show me everything I can do with Jira. And there is a lot of actions you can do with Jira. Create issues, add comments, look up issues, all that stuff. Look at all that stuff we can do with the Jira spoke. So as part of that, let's take an example of the create issue. Notice when you create an issue, it has some inputs. Here we see project key and issue type are 2 inputs that we want to put in order to create an issue over in Jira. But notice on the type that they are a dynamic choice, okay? So if we look at the configuration here, it's read-only because it's a spoke. Notice my dynamic options, it's going to call this action called get projects metadata. Same for the issue type, it's going to call an action called get issue types metadata, and it's dependent on the project key that it just got in the previous input. So even though you may not be using the spoke yet, it's already trying to do stuff using that connection and credential. So here's what I want you to do to set it up for the first time. I want you to open an action, one of these actions. I chose get issue types. I could have chosen the action for well, actually, let's just show you what that looks like. I'm going to go over here to Actions and Flow Designer. Remember, I'm in Vancouver, so this may look a little bit different from what you're used to seeing. The Flow Designer home got updated, and I searched for star parentheses metadata to see all the actions that ServiceNow has set up for getting metadata. And so 2 of those are Get Issue Types, which I already have open, and Get Projects metadata. We'll go ahead and open the Get Projects metadata. So this is what's going to run when you try to use that create issue. So I want you, when you can create your connection and credential alias, I want you to come into Flow Designer. I want you to open up this action, Get Projects Metadata. I want you to test it. See if it'll work before you try to do anything else. So let's hit the test button. We're going to go ahead and run the test. And what this should do, if my connection and credential alias is working, it should go out and get the projects in the instance of Jira that I've configured under that connection. So I'll go ahead and view the execution details here, and I can see, yes, it did. It retrieved my Demo 6 environment, my Demo 7 project. I have a Quebec Showcase project, wow, that one's old, Utah, and I have one for Justin's PDI Vancouver. So that connection is working, it's able to grab it. If you get an error here, you need to troubleshoot something with your connection and credential. Maybe you didn't use an administrator account. The Jira account has to be an administrator. I recommend using a service account like I did, and you need to make sure they're an administrator so they can do all this type of stuff. So it was able to look up that. Now I'm going to go ahead and test. Actually, I'm going to close that results down. I'm going to close the Get Projects action. I'm going to test this second one that's going to get issue types for a particular project. So let's go ahead and test. It's going to ask for a project. If we head back over to my Jira instance, I can actually see my project key. You can't see it. Let me just bring the window down here just a bit. The key is in the URL. JPV, or Justin's PDI Vancouver, is the key for my project. So I'm going to use JPV back in my Vancouver instance, and I'm going to type in JPV for the project number. And this should use the same connection and credential to go to my Jira instance, look in that project, and get all the issue types and bring them back into my instance, or in this case, the test. So if I click on the execution details, if everything's successful, I should see, and I do, that it went and found for my project. I have 2. I have task and I have subtask. That's right, that's all I have set up in that particular project. So we're good. The connection and credential is working. So I'm going to close out of all these, and we're going to go to that test flow that I briefly showed there at the beginning. And I did this just to test and make sure everything's working. I highly recommend you do this. You don't want to troubleshoot this later. So what I did, my trigger is a service catalog. I'm never going to link this to a service catalog, and that's okay. First thing I want to do is I want to look up a project. So I used the lookup project action, and I typed in my key, which is JPV. So that should go look up the JPV project. Then I'm going to create an issue. So I want to create an issue. I want to pick the project key. Notice it has all my projects. That's because that little action ran and populated that, and it has those 2 tasks, task and subtask. I'm going to give it a description, test task from Vancouver PDI. I've already tested this just to make sure, but we'll just put in here demo for YouTube to make sure that we can differentiate this from everything else I created, and we can set a priority, and we can add other fields. I'm just testing. I want to make sure this works. So let's go ahead and save. That will save my little test flow here, and then I'm going to test it and make sure that, 1, it's able to look up the project by that ID. We'll just give it any catalog item here. And 2, that it actually creates an issue over in my Jira instance. So we'll let it process here, and once that's finished processing, we can click on there to review the results. And again, we're expecting that it looked up the project. That was successful. It found it. Project has all the information about my project. We'll scroll down here to the create issue. That should have been successful. It was. It created the task, and we got everything we needed for that task. So let's go check on that, make sure that actually worked, and there it is. It's already on my Jira board. You can see it there, test task from Vancouver PDI. If I click on that task, I should see the test task from Vancouver PDI in the description as well. So everything worked, and that is going to be the first step for setting up the Jira Spoke. Create your connection and credential, or not the alias, create your connection and credential using the alias that is provided by the Jira Spoke out of the box, and then go test that action first. Make sure the action's working, and that will prevent problems when you're trying to use create issue or other things that have those dynamic inputs, and it'll save you some troubleshooting. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, or share it with somebody who you think might be interested in integrating with Jira using the Jira Spoke. And until next time, don't forget to always be learning.